Let me tell you about John, 63 years old, Sacramento, California. John hadn't approached a woman in years. Divorced for over a decade, he sat at home telling himself, who could possibly be interested in me now? When he finally did introduce himself to a woman at a volunteer event, he felt his palms sweat, his voice crack, and deep inside he believed he was too old, too small, or too insignificant. Afterward, he walked away thinking, maybe I shouldn't have tried. Sound familiar? That was John's mindset, not just about meeting women, but about how he saw himself. He believed what he didn't possess defined him: age, confidence, perhaps size. Then something shifted. He discovered a conversation between me and a urologist friend, a specialist who told him, it's not the size you think, it's the meaning you bring. That changed John's trajectory. He approached again with calm, quiet authority, and within 3 months, he was dating someone he described as the most alive I've felt in years. Gentlemen, this is exactly why you're here. Because there's a myth you've believed, one that holds you back. Truth, chasing size is the kiss of death after 50. Look, here's what many mature men believe. If I were younger, stronger, bigger, I'd attract someone. But the shocking truth, according to our urologist's data and decades of patient feedback, is women don't primarily desire maximum size. They desire confidence, emotional safety, and purpose. In the realm of attraction after 50, going after the myth of size often means ignoring the real size. Your stature as a man of experience, your integrity, your emotional availability. The myth, bigger equals better. The reality, relevance, connection, and authority equal attraction. When you buy into the myth of, I must be bigger, younger, more aggressive, you chase, and in the chase, you lose. I'm Dr. Mark Sullivan. I've worked with mature men for over 20 years, helping divorced, widowed, or single men over 50 reclaim their confidence, rebuild their dating identity, and thrive. I've partnered with top urologists, psychologists, and dating coaches who specialize in mature men to uncover what truly matters, the psychology behind attraction in your prime years. I've spoken with urologists who treat men in their 60s and beyond, not about size enhancement, but about sexual health, communication with partners, and what women in long-term relationships consistently say they need. These insights form the backbone of what we'll talk about today. Here's the core principle: qualified attention size metrics. Let me explain. In psychology, there's a concept called signal value. You send signals to a woman about who you are, what you bring, and why you matter. When you focus on size, whether physical or metaphorical, your signal is, I'm insecure. When you focus on qualified attention, your signal is, I see you, I value you, I'm present. And here's what the urologist observation adds. Women, especially with mature men, are not scanning a tape measure. They're scanning for presence, emotional intelligence, reliability, purpose, and yes, a man who knows his body, knows his health, and knows his life. So we pivot. Instead of chasing metrics, age, muscle, size, we shift to bringing your mature masculine identity, your history of decisions, your emotional availability, and your intentionality. That's what turns attraction back on for you. Let's meet some men just like you and how they transformed. Mike, 58, Seattle, a widower who hadn't dated in 4 years, told me, Doc, I feel invisible. I'm 58 and I'm convinced she looks elsewhere. We worked on him owning his experience, refining his story, stepping out one step at a time. 6 months later, Mike was dating a 53-year-old woman who told him, I love how real you are. You don't pretend to be 30. Robert, 65, Austin, a retired engineer, believed his body betrayed him. He thought size and strength mattered. After our work, he focused on his strength of character and told his story of service in the Peace Corps. She said, that trip changed you more than any gym could. They're now building a blended home life together. Gilbert, 61, London, divorced 2 years, felt behind the curve. He did an assessment with the urologist I referred him to, got clarity on sexual health, but more importantly, clarity on his emotional health. He told the woman he was dating, I've walked through loss, I've learned, I've arrived, and I'd like to walk forward with you. 5 months later, she told him, "You're safe. You're calm. I trust you." Fernando, 55, Madrid, single after 30 years of marriage, worried, "Do I have what it takes?" He started volunteering, attending wine tastings, and working on his story of reinvention. When he met someone, instead of talking about size or strength, he shared, "I decided to rewrite the second act of my life, and I'd love a co-author." She replied, "What a refreshing offer." They're now planning a Mediterranean trip together. All these men shifted, not by becoming younger, not by adding size. They shifted by embodying what they already had. Okay, let's get specific. Here are do's and don'ts, followed by before versus after contrasts. Do own your story. You've lived 50 plus years, use that. In one sentence, I did this, I learned this, now I'm doing this. Do focus on presence and health. Get your body moving, your health checked, including urologist or physician. It's not about size metrics, it's about functionality, energy, comfort. Do stay curious. Ask questions to your date, such as, "What have you been curious about lately? What new thing have you tried?" This shifts the conversation away from you chasing and places you beside. Do qualify her. Mature dating isn't about open arms to everyone. It's about saying, "I'm interested in someone I resonate with," which means you ask her what matters to her now. Do set boundaries and standards. You're not desperate, you're selective. You've been here before. You know what drains you and you know what lights you. Do embody calm authority. The world is noisy. Be the guy who shows up steady, not needy, not chasing, but anchored. Don't chase size or assume it's the problem. This mindset reduces you to a metric, not a man. Don't pretend to be 30. Authenticity wins. Faking youth sounds like fear. Don't neglect your sexual health and confidence. This doesn't mean obsession over size. It means function, comfort, respect. Don't give your power away. Asking open questions is good, but avoid turning every conversation into her monologue because you're anxious. Don't apologize for being older. Age is your asset. Stop saying, "I'm older, so," or "I know I'm past," as it lowers your signal. Before, Mike thought he must bulk up and look younger. He approached a woman and launched into his gym story. She nodded politely, but didn't call him back. After, he showed up in a well-fitted jacket, shared his journey volunteering, asked her what change she wanted in her life now, and she responded with warmth and gave him her number. Before, Robert said, "I'm not as strong as I used to be," and apologized for his body. She sensed insecurity. After, he said, "I'm grateful for what my body still enables me to do, and I'm focused on new adventures," which she found attractive. Before, Fernando worried about scaring her away because he'd been married so long and tiptoed conversations. After, he said, "I'm divorced and ready for new chapters. How about you?" She replied, "Finally, someone who speaks the language of now. Now let's reframe. You're perhaps 55, 60, 70, and you might ask, what superpower do I have? The answer, maturity, experience, stability. At 50 plus, you've built a career, weathered storms, and you know what you want and what you don't. That clarity is magnetic. You're less likely to be fooled by superficialities, which means you engage deeper and she senses safety. You've accumulated rich stories and she's fascinated by who you are. You have choices now. You're not scrambling to prove, you're choosing to connect. I once asked a participant in a workshop, "When was the last time you followed your impulse versus your wisdom?" He paused and realized he'd spent decades doing the opposite. That shift, impulse to wisdom, is your superpower. Question for reflection. When was the last time you pursued someone with wisdom rather than desperation? Did that chase make her more interested, or did it push her away? Reflect on that for a moment. Let's talk straight. What's the last message you sent because you feared losing her? What did you sacrifice in that message to keep hope alive? If you track your decision, you likely chased, you lowered your standards, you lost your presence. But if instead you stopped and asked, "Do I really want someone who responds to desperation?" You'll make a different move next time. Here's your next step. I'm going to provide a free self-assessment tool in the description below, a Mature Man Attraction Index. It will ask you 10 questions about how you show up in dating, your presence, your story, your boundaries, your health. After you complete it, email me the result and I'll send you one targeted action for the week. And next time, get ready. We'll dive into how to talk about intimacy and health with grace and confidence after 50. No awkwardness, just clarity. Gentlemen, here is your truth. You are not losing value with age, you are amassing value. You're not shrinking, you're sharpening. When you believe the myth that size alone matters, you shrink yourself into a statistic. When you believe the truth, you wield your years as your edge. So stand up, adjust your posture, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, I am not chasing, I am selecting. I am not hoping to be seen, I am claiming my space. From today onward, show up as a man who doesn't apologize for his age, doesn't hide his story, and doesn't measure his worth by a tape, but by the breadth of his character. You are not getting older, you're getting selective, you're becoming intentional, you're stepping into the realm where wisdom meets attraction. And when you do, everything changes. Go out there, own your next chapter, because the world, your future partner, is ready for a mature man who knows what he brings and knows what he wants. Remember this one-liner, this isn't about being bigger, this is about being better. Until next time, stay anchored, stay deliberate, stay you.